ahead and get started. But I was thinking about this as we're stepping into these new spaces, this exciting world. We want to introduce, you want to introduce our dear friend
My goodness,
first?
this is a big pleasure. Honestly, as most of you know, you guys have massive respect for Dr. A. He has been such a special influence to us, and we're just honored to have him here tonight to share with all of you about metabolic health and just be able to pour into us. And I'll tell you what, the confidence that has eluded out of him. He came to Sundance. He shared from stage. He's in the best shape of his life. What an example he is. So I just want to invite him to come up and we'll have him share.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it says that he's going to share his screen later. So, Doctor
Yeah.
A, we got to see you, friends. We got to be able to share you. So let's see. There he is.
There he is.
Okay,
Hi guys.
and we're unmuted. Yes.
I love it. It's great seeing you all, and I love seeing Emma and Caleb. First of all, Caleb, happy birthday! How cool is
Yes.
that? And we
Yes.
got to walk up, and it's true. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment when I put the slides up. But being in top metabolic optimal health is a beautiful thing. It really is. I know a lot about health. I've been written several books, Habits of Health, and I've always felt myself as a healthy person. I've always incrementally worked on that. But over the last year, while I was writing the new book, which is about ready to come out in a couple of weeks,
Mhm.
my prescription for life, I used a glucometer. And by using that, I really wanted to focus on not just using all the research, but in practical every day, what's required to truly optimize your metabolic health. I heard the one lady talking about it when she was 21. She was
Yes.
based, yeah, she had insulin resistance. And that's the thing I want all of you. First of all, just listening to the stories, why does it not surprise me that bottom line, the Echols team is already all the way up on this stuff? I mean, what I'm going to talk about is probably redundant, and you could probably teach me some things on it. But here's the deal. When we go to our doctor, just to put it in perspective, where we are leading this vision towards health and well-being versus reacting to disease, which is what most people do, and certainly what doctors do. I mean, doctors, I left that. I was the top of my profession, one of the best in critical care medicine. And I left that to move upstream to help people create health. And that journey's been a long, arduous one, and it hasn't been easy. And as you know, the world continues to be metabolically unhealthy, and we're going to go over some reasons why. But the reality is this: when I really focused on that and put the glucometer on and really watched everything I put in my body, every time I moved, basically how I slept, how I handle stress, every one of those things, how it affects my metabolic health. Glucose basically goes up and your insulin level goes up paired with that. So I can tell you that we know now that doctors still, basically, when you go into their office, they do your fasting blood sugar. And as long as that's under 100, they go, yep, you're good. The reality is nothing can be further from the truth. Up to 5 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years before you even start to budge your blood sugar and it starts going up at all, you may have metabolic dysfunction. You may have insulin. You probably do have insulin resistance. So it's a real problem. And if it's okay, can I kind of share some slides with everybody?
We would love that. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let me put this on. And let me unshare for a minute because I always get this screwed up when I do this. I share, unshare. Come on. Let me make sure I get this right. Um, okay. There we go. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. Can you see a full screen or just part screen?
We see your entire PowerPoint.
You,
That's the one
you see
right
the
there.
whole one or you see everything?
We see everything.
So you see the big picture.
Nope.
No, we want to see the big picture. You want to
This
see
one.
that picture.
There you
There
go.
it is. There it
Perfect.
is.
All right. All right. We good?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I need technical help. I'm just the dumb doctor trying to help people get healthy. But here's the deal. Today is a new day. It's full of opportunity, hope, and an amazing offer to help us literally help people create health, which has always been our goal. In fact, I loved listening to the one gentleman, Gene. What's your husband's name?
Jeff.
Jeff, okay. I guess you know too. But here's the deal. The enthusiasm coming out of your team really kind of puts in perspective what we're doing. So here's the perspective. I just came back from Galicia, Spain, and one of the things as we look at our mission and how we create a new healthy world is basically you know, we live in a world where we're sick, not by accident. It's designed to keep us there. And I was in Galicia for 10 days. We were really studying. I got to interview 102-year-olds, and we've been talking about centenarians for years. Actually, in the first Habits Health 2008, when that came out, that was a year and a half before the Blue Zone book was even released. So we've always been on the cutting edge of vision of how we help people create health and stay healthy. And by the way, one of the key things that I love to talk about, I've been talking about for a long time, is basically the balance between health span and lifespan. Unfortunately, in our country, there's a huge gap. People get unhealthy way earlier than they should. And with technology and the things we know now, my goal is to really change that so that now we live long in a healthier state right up to the point where we die. In fact, I always kid around, and Lewis Kelman lived to be 122. I want to slide sideways into my grave when I'm 123. I love to beat records. But the reality is, when I was there, all the things we saw, and there's a trailer that you guys may have seen already. If not, Gina and Adam will show it to you at some point. But here's the thing. Our underlying structure in that country supports it. They literally are about ready to be Spain. It's their first blue zone, which will be Galicia, which is above Portugal. It's by no accident. They're family oriented, they're community oriented. They don't have friends, they have neighbors. They call all the people around them their neighbors. They eat seafood, they eat fresh vegetables. They basically walk the street in Santiago de Compostela where we were. They walk up hills. They sing in the streets at night on a weeknight. They're outside eating unbelievable food, no fast food. And when we walked 2 miles back to our hotel, inspired by them, not using, there's no Ubers, by the way. And basically, they were singing. There were groups, they were dressed up and they were singing, and there were 150 people at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night just singing and having fun. I'm not talking about a rock concert or EDM. I'm talking about people just loving life. It's so obvious. And then I flew back nonstop from Madrid to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I got off the plane and went into the airport, and I felt like I was dropped on a different planet. Fast food everywhere, chili cheesesteaks, sedentary lifestyle, people sitting there in the lounge, laying back, watching TV, just every fast food everywhere, candy, what's her name? Aunt Jemima, not Aunt Jemima, Aunt, the one that makes the pretzels. I don't know, Cinnabon. It goes on and on and on. And it was just such a culture. Why are we in the state we're in? Because it's designed that way. And we really have, if we aren't aware of it, we have no choice. So basically, you've been hearing about it since last week, since Sundance. Basically, our vision is being reborn. This is our moment of convergence where our mission meets proof. And that's so important. And just a moment, I talk mostly about this, but just a moment on my transformation story. I can tell metabolically my energy level, and as Emma and Caleb and I walked up and kind of led the pack, they were right there with me. And like their parents, right? I mean, their bottom line is they want to be up there, they want to be mentored. And it was incredible being with them, and just to sense that and where they are and the world they're growing up in, and their emotional maturity and their desire to be more and to be greater, and taking psychological flexibility, which is your superpower, by the way. Everything in life is about reframing. There's going to be bad stuff that happens to you every single day. We had all this stuff happen over the last several years. Some of it helped us, some of it hurt us. We had COVID, we had GLP drugs, blah, 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 blah. It's how you reframe it. It's how you take it and put it in position to organize your life around what matters most. Lead from the future you want, know where you are now in that relationship, and then do everything it takes to move forward in that direction. And I'll tell you that as I walked up, I've been doing that hike for 20 years. There's been some times, and actually, just before I went, I was at the Miami, Florida football game in Miami the night before I went to Spain, and somebody rolled up as I was going down the stairs and sprained my knee. So I actually have a sprained knee. I walked around Galicia, Madrid for 10 days, and I took some ibuprofen. There's a time for using medications for anti-inflammation. but basically still a little sore, walked up that hill to Stewart Falls faster than I ever have before. That's 20 years. That's over 20 years getting better, getting healthier. With what we know now in metabolic health and what we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail, you have something. You have the new story. I heard you talking about your new stories already, guys. Your new story takes us out of this red ocean. When I left 24 years ago to go help people get healthy, I knew, and I want to move, and I'm going to show you a slide that depicts that. We want to create optimal health and well-being. This is not about prevention. It's not about getting rid of disease. It's about creating optimal health. And that hasn't changed. We just now have more things we can stay to support that, which makes it so cool. So basically, this is taken from the new book. When I built this new book is designed, by the way, to be an amazing acquisition tool for you. 25 to 50 million Americans right this moment are thinking about going on the GLP-1 medicines. 10 million people are on them. A bunch of people have come off them, not successful. Very few people have had long-term success. And bottom line is, the book is designed, and I had an Italian artist do watercolors. I wanted bright pictures that attracted people. So if they go to Amazon or they go to a bookstore and they see it, they are attracted to want to get it because in a very short, it's a primer. You can read it in a day or two. It's not like the Habit Cell System, which is dedicated to be your companion for the rest of your life, along with your coach. This is designed to help attract people. And if they do decide to go on, in fact, I'm absolutely convinced now that any doctor, so you should be going after those of you that work with doctors, any doctor that writes a script should be giving this prescription for life with them at the same time they get their shot. Because without it, it's relatively irresponsible because people don't know what to do. And if they can do it just with a shot, that's what they are going to do. So it's so critical for us to understand. But bottom line is that toxic world I'm talking about is daily reality. As attention is hijacked. We're eating unhealthy processed food. It's everywhere. They actually you're not going to believe this. They've designed a test where your doctor can now test to see if you're eating ultra processed food. They can actually look and see the ingredients and the level of ingredients and say, oh, bust you. How helpful is that? You know if you're eating unhealthy processed food. It's about making you aware what it does. And I'm about ready to show you why metabolic optimization is so important. But basically, poor sleep, emotional mismanagement, and all these things I can tell you when I had the glucometer on, days when I would be stressed, something happened, my daughter was in school and I had to respond to it. The time when I hurt my knee, all those times my glucose levels went up. They go up. Life happens. There's things that are going to happen metabolically to you that's part of being in this crazy world we're in. But there's so many things we can avoid. We can avoid what we put in here. We can get out and move more. We can basically do things to sleep better. In fact, I just added a cooling mattress the last several months because I know I already sleep well. Now I sleep even better. I've watched my sleep quality go up like 30%. And with that, when I wake up in the morning, my glucose levels are lower. All these things matter about metabolic health. All 6 macro habits are part of what we do. What we do is we help people lower their insulin level. And as you can see, the fallout of insulin resistance and cellular inefficiency and metabolic dysfunction is the health crisis grown in the soil, which is obesity. It's not even soil, it's metabolic quicksand that basically is causing obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular, PCOS, chronic kidney cancers, and cognitive decline. They're all directly related to our poor metabolic health. So the real enemy is metabolic dysfunction, and 9 out of 10 people have it. I like to use this analogy. We were in Vegas this summer, and every time I go there, I'm just in awe of these incredible casinos. They just keep getting bigger. They look like Sodom and Gomorrah. They have, monuments and 40-foot statues and Atlantis, and just goes on and on and on. Well, I'm thinking, dang it, where did they get all the money? Well, they get the money from you because you think you can go there and do this quick thing and actually win. And you might have a couple early wins, but who wins in the long term? The house always wins. The same thing with dieting. The house always wins. Your body will always basically regain its cycles if you're not paying attention and doing it the right way. We lose muscle, we regain weight, and we're in this cyclical pattern that lasts in infinitum. So the weight loss revolution, it is going on, and everybody's aware of it. In fact, AI and the Ozempic type drugs, GLP-1 drugs, are the 2 most talked about things in the world right now. Everybody's talking about them. So In the book, I go over that revolution. I go over the good, the bad, the ugly, and the possibilities with that. So that basically they start to understand that GLP can quiet the noise of hunger, but it cannot build the music of health. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing for 20 years. And I can tell you, the GLP medications are part of the great loss game. They curb appetite and they promise quick weight loss, but the truth is sobering. Up to 40% lose lean muscle. If you lose lean muscle, you are worsening over time your metabolic health. Muscle is the most important organ in terms of longevity and metabolic optimization. Think of it as a big sponge. If you do get stressed out or you have something happen like you hurt your knee, or you inadvertently are at a birthday party and that chocolate fudge sundae or birthday cake gets in your mouth accidentally. If you've got strong, healthy muscles, it can absorb that. Not all the time, but it can actually absorb it. But when you lose up to 40% of your lean mass, you're putting yourself at harm's way. That's the beauty of what we do in our mission. We help people and we retain, as we're going to talk about in a minute, 98% of our lean muscle in the first 16 weeks, while we preferentially target visceral fat. 74% stop within a year, 2/3 regain their weight within 2 years. They're not just numbers, they're people that are trapped in that same cycle we were talking about with the great loss game. The great gain game is a very different thing. It's about a new identity, one about creating health. So you're not, oh no, I can't eat that because I can't have what I like because it's not good for me. That attitude has got to go. The attitude is that I don't eat that because it doesn't support being here a long time, having lots of energy, playing with my grandkids, not having to be on medicines, not having to be on dialysis, and it goes on and on and on. The great identity is becoming a healthy person, gaining energy, strength, resilience that lasts, confidence. I'm 73 years old and I jump out of helicopters. I couldn't do that 15 years ago. Bottom line is why? Because I have great metabolic health. I got it in here and I do the things that are necessary. And the most important thing, which hopefully all of you get, as you reach out and help others, you become healthier. You become healthier basically simply because you're doing the habits of health. But beyond that, because you're now helping others and when we're in the service of others, nothing brings us more joy. So basically, it's about taking care of your metabolic health, about creating optimal health and well-being. Now, we've always done that. We've always focused on building health, but the noise of weight loss always got in the way. So people would see the weight loss part, they would focus on that, and they truly did not come at it. So we were buried in a red ocean strategy versus coming to the blue ocean strategy, which is lasting metabolic health. So there's an identity shift both in you, your story, and our mission. We are moving upstream further so we maximize metabolic health. And the turning point is we can now make claims we never could before. I heard Emma saying, yeah, I'm excited because now things I've been talking about for years, or Jennifer was talking about, I can talk about, you can talk about, we can talk about together. Basically, I have to just spend a moment on this just to make sure. I think you guys got this, but I just want to talk about why visceral fat is the engine of disease. Basically, you have your abdominal wall and you have the outside, the subcutaneous fat, which is the one you pinch right around the middle or on your hips or something. That is good fat. Fat is not a bad thing. Fat is a metabolic organ, endocrine organ that's used, that produces all the hormones that are necessary in your body for building. It also creates insulation. In fact, women as a whole in Japan, they use them to go dive for oysters because they used to before they had wetsuits because you guys have more subcutaneous fat. And that fat is what makes you guys so lovely and why we love to look at you so much and we like you because you're cute and you're rounded. You're not these, this bored, right? The fat inside, and by the way, you can, that fat is totally bioavailable. So it's used as energy and it's easy to use. And by the way, it's healthy. The fat inside isn't. The fat on the outside grows by more fat cells. You make more fat cells on the outside, the subcutaneous fat. Inside, you don't have room to make more fat cells. So the fat cells just get bigger and they get bigger and they get bigger. And they're like balloons. They get to the point where they're overstuffed ravioli. That's what they look like, these big, nasty things. And because the blood supply is already not great to them, as these cells get bigger and bigger, they get further and further away from their blood supply. So they're getting hypoxic. They're not getting enough oxygen or nutrients. So what do? They release all these pro-inflammatory things. Now, the fat cell by itself is doing that because it actually stimulates more capillaries, and that's what it wants. Unfortunately, that pro-inflammatory goes out to every organ in the body, and it affects in a negative fashion every organ in the body. And it starts causing all these changes in your blood vessels. It causes changes in your heart, causes this inflammation in your liver, and your liver gets infused where you start getting fatty liver. All these things happen over time. When you first have insulin resistance, you have none of those things. But in the continuum, over time, over years, imagine where we position ourselves now. Imagine where we are. We can help everybody improve their metabolic health. We can avoid, my goal is in the next 10 years to eliminate chronic disease so that the only reason we need physicians is when you get hit by a car or you have some strange genetic thing. Otherwise, our health coaches should be responsible for basically creating optimal metabolic health for all those that desire that. And it's very, very possible. So here's what happened. You reduce that visceral fat. Basically, those cells now can empty. You've turned off insulin, so insulin resistance. By the way, when you have high insulin, you cannot burn fat. It's as simple as that. And we're going to talk in a moment about metabolic flip. You cannot burn fat. So on these drugs, by the way, if you're going to GLP when your appetite's down, well, you're not eating 5 Dunkin' Donuts, but you're eating half of one. It only takes half of one to raise your insulin. So even though you're losing energy, you're a lot less energy, and you're starting to shrink, you can't burn fat. So what do you burn? You burn your muscle. That's why Ozempic face. That's why Ozempic butt. We are catabolizing, taking away the most important metabolic organ unless they have us as a coach. And I'll talk about it in a minute with prescription for now. So basically, 90% of Americans plus have this, and 9 out of 10 Americans die as a result of metabolic dysfunction. The 10th one is accidents. The reality is, if you looked into accidents because people aren't sleeping well, they're in a fog, they're not paying attention, that's all part of their response to metabolic syndrome. So it's probably even more than that. What I'm saying is every single person you meet and talk to is a candidate to get healthier using what we do. It's that profound. And when those things are off, your hormones, your mood. By the way, I have to say one thing. Women going through menopause, and just blink your eyes if you're doing it. You don't have to tell me. You are protected premenopausal against visceral adiposity. The way you're designed, you preferentially store subcutaneous fat. At the time of menopause, because your hormones change, your estrogen level starts going down, you are now at just as much risk for visceral adiposity as men. So this is so important. And as you become metabolic optimization coaches, really, you're basically health coaches, but you're optimizing metabolic health. Let's don't overcomplicate it. But it's time for that wake-up call, basically, for the world. So here's the deal. You guys have got this memorized, I am sure, but I'm going to say it anyway. We now own this term. It's a proprietary term, metabolic synchronization at all levels. Within 16 weeks, we can reduce visceral adiposity by 14%, preserve lean muscle by 98%, and maintain and protect healthy muscle. All these things happen by rewiring our metabolic set point. We now can make those claims as a result of our study. So this is our proprietary information. And with that, the company, the habits of health remain at the center, because all those habits we'll talk about in a minute help optimize your metabolic health as well. The 4 components all count for long metabolic health, as well as basically, here's the other part that you are at the center. You can claim that by having a coach community in the habits of health, people lose 10 times more weight and 17 times more fat and preserve 98% of the lean body mass. That happens because of you. It doesn't happen because of our product. That's all part of the system. It all works together because we have always had a holistic approach of what we do. And that's how you achieve better metabolic health. So I'm just going to briefly, this is coming out next year, but just to let you know, I'm showing the slide just to make the point. The point is the company is now focused on helping us lead the way in metabolic health and synchronization. They are making new products. They are adding things to our current products. So there'll be new product lines that will all be designed with choline and basically postbiotic and basically chromium, we're going to be in position to optimize metabolic health. So it's pretty exciting. So the future of health is coming into focus right now with Metabolic Advantage. Right now, the 5-in-1, the habit cell system, the coach, and the community. And our North Star hasn't changed. Basically, we're still all about optimal health and well-being. This is in part 5. So here's the deal. When you go over with somebody that's thinking about going on a GLP-1 and find out, about whether the drugs are right for them, if they're not right for them, you want them to basically go right to so if they are right for them, prescription for now means that you're going to be there to guide them to protect it. So you protect their body composition, you protect their lean muscle. Basically, we can make the claims, we can help you do that, even if you're going to use the medicine. We're going to teach you how to sleep better, how to move more, and how to make sure during the period, those drugs have a beginning, a middle, and end. They are not designed to be on for life. They are not designed to be on for life. And if you use them knowing that during that period to optimize, you need a coach and you need a community and you need us to help you. Bottom line, but if they're not right for you, go write the prescription for life, which is part 5, which, as you can see, I did generic versions of our 6 macro habits so you can start teaching them and drawing them in so they understand they want a coach. They want to optimize their mindset. Just to let you know, basically your mindset determines your insulin level. If your mindset is such that you're the victim and everything triggers you, your insulin level goes up. We know the 3 main reasons our insulin level goes up. First, insulin creates more insulin, and insulin goes up anytime you eat starches, ultra processed food, sugars, all that adds it. Second thing, inflammation. When we eat crappy food, our gut biome basically isn't optimized. And then as a result, we get leaky gut, we get inflammation. That also raises our insulin. And the third is when we're stressed. When you're stressed out, your insulin level goes up. And most people are stressed out daily. They don't know what stop, challenge, and choose. They don't know that just simply learning that little methodology can start changing that and helping them start to create metabolic synchronization. So all these things are literally key for that. So as I close here, bottom line, the future won't be written by prescription. It never will. It'll be written by people who reclaim their choices, their biology, and their lives. So if we look at basic optimal metabolic health, we're moving from the great loss game. We're finally leaving that behind. That paradigm of weight loss, losing muscle, regaining fat. The great gain game is about the new paradigm, creating health, protecting muscle, gaining energy. That's how we create metabolic health and energy. So with that, here's the new book. It bridges science and the habits of health to get people realizing they need to change their lifestyle. It talks about you as a coach being there to help them and the key things you're going to work on while they're on it. And if they're not going to take it because they don't really need it, you're going to start them right away on our 5-in-1. Think about that. You're starting their metabolic positive journey right away. You don't have to worry about fighting lean muscle mass. 98% is already totally protected. So we are way ahead of the time. And if they are going to use them, you're there to help them protect it. And then knowing the long game is basically creating long-term health. So I wanted to show this just to show you this list that's been created. Many people don't realize that small everyday symptoms can be early warning signs of metabolic dysfunction. The symptoms tend to progress in stages. So this checklist can help identify. So this is great for you to do yourself and also for your clients and also clearly for candidates. And, Gene and Adam were very involved in the health assessment and we'll continue to evolve that. But one of the questions is going to be, you've thought about losing weight before. What are you thinking about? And they're going to say probably the GLP-1 shots. You can say now, hey, listen, you can go to Amazon or you can download for a couple bucks. I want you to read this and then we'll sit down and figure out whether these drugs are right for you. They may be right for you. You may have, because it has my prescription stuff has the susceptibility test in it. And if you failed many times before and you're really addicted to processed food, they might be a short-term tool while we get everything else right. But the bottom line is, listen, do you have fatigue, sugar or caffeine cravings, brain fog? This is what's in the susceptibility quiz, right? Those are often ignored early stages. Middle stages are mood swings, poor sleep, blood pressure creeping up, frequent urination. And then later symptoms and stages are skin tags. You'll notice now, you'll see people with little skin tags around here. High insulin causes those skin tags around their neck and the discolorization. You probably didn't know that. Now you'll know. Now that's not something you're going to call them out on your first date with them. You're going to wait a little bit because probably people aren't going to like that. But the point is, you start to know, yeah, I probably think you have metabolic syndrome, and starting to have that little belly fat or more intense fatigue. And then obviously they've gone to their doctor and their blood sugar and they're pre-diabetic. All those are progressive symptoms of metabolic dysfunction. But think about it. Think about now, as you get healthy, the four things you can say as coaches, and clients can say anything. It helped lower my blood sugar, my blood sugar, insulin resistance, my cholesterol. Bottom line, improve my type 2 diabetes. We can make those claims now. We could never do that before. I've been dying for those things to happen. And now all those things you can do are available to you. So basically, as I close, this is our moment to lead to become the champions of metabolic health. Because here's the deal. Health by design is who we are now. We're going around the world to find where people live the longest. We're taking that information, we're taking the information from research, from our specific research, from our basically double-blind study that we did. It's considered the best research there is. It puts you bulletproof against anybody. You can make those claims now. But the next 10 years, where science meets purpose, our purpose is to create a healthy world. Metabolic synchronization is more than a science. It's a bridge. And together we walk people across it into the future of real sustainable health. So a lot of stuff I went over. You already know most of it, and sure good to be here. Glad to be here with you guys.
Dr. A, thank you so much. I know right now our team is on fire. They're so excited to hear all this stuff. And it's so funny, as I was thinking about creating metabolic health and all those years ago, as we have started to get to know you, start to grow with you. And I was thinking back about, a while back, probably this summer, when we were hanging out at your place and you were like, are you all in? Are you all in on our mission? Are you ready to change the world together? And of course, we're looking out over the ocean, and it's really hard to not be all in when we're hanging out, hanging with your family, and learning and knowing that. But I'd love if you have a few minutes. I know you have to rush to another call too.
No, I have as much as I want. I know you guys want to do some more training, but I want to say something about both of you. I knew you. I actually the first time I met you was in San Francisco, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I remember that. And remember when somebody got whacked by a bike, got whacked by a guy opening his Mercedes. Yeah, that's the accident part, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And probably that guy wasn't clear. He probably was stressed out, a little metabolic dysfunction, had a nice car, but wasn't sleeping or stressed out. But anyway, I remember I've watched your growth and our partnership, and as we sat there and kind of talked about our lives and the impact that this mission has had on what you've done to help others. Just to watch your growth. I mean, I got to hear you talk a couple last week in Sundance as well, and just the growth. That's the incredible thing about what we do. We really work together and we care about each other, and we take our personal minds and move them to the side, and we really have this is the time. That's why for everybody, when I say it's kind of a rebirth of our vision, it's our vision at a point where we've clearly separated, working with our company, we've clearly separated so that now we're in a blue ocean. An ocean everybody knows about. In fact, the irony is when I wrote this, literally before the company had decided to start focusing on metabolic health. And now this book it's all about metabolic health. So now we have a tool, just like we did with the Habits Health System, but a really easy one that you can use for acquisition. If 25 million people, we only need to get a fraction of those people and help them decide, right? You only need to find the ones that really want to go. And if they see you as a coach, you know this stuff, and you can guide them, and you have all the experience that all your coaches have. You spend so much time training. It's like, we've been sitting on the sideline a little bit trying to figure this out. We've got to figure it out because we already know. Every one of your coaches, Gene and Adam, know the impact that this has had on their own family, on their own community. But now we have a nice, easy way to tell the 3.0 story and just have people get it.
Fire. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's that impact that we're going to be able to make. And I was even thinking about this with you were mentioning like 10 million people already have tried the GLP-1s. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, if we could have 1% of that, 2% of that, 3% of that, how many
if they're frozen. Are you guys frozen? Am I?
Oh, I don't know. Am I frozen or is Dr. A frozen? Who's frozen?
Oh, Dr. A might be frozen on our side.
Okay. All right. Well, smile, everyone.
At least he looks good.
Yes, yes. No, I don't know about you guys. Oh, we might have lost him altogether. We'll see. Brittany, if you see him come back in, let us know. But like, how many of you were like, wowzers? Oh, you're back, Dr. A.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
It's okay.
This is what happens. Let me explain this to you in Gina terms. When something powerful is about to happen, the power interrupts the Zoom.
Okay, well,
Every
that's good.
time.
That's how intense we are.
That's right. And you know I'm an intense person. So, but I was thinking about this as you were mentioning the 10 million, and I was thinking to myself, if even 1% or 2% or 3% of those people that the GLP-1 failed for, that it didn't serve the purpose, which we know all 10 million did not get the purpose if they didn't change their lifestyle. We get to be the piece that gets to come alongside of them and say, hey, if you didn't get it right, let's help you get it right this go around. Let's help you grow. But think
Love
of
that.
all those people, Dr. A, that are going to be able to pick up the prescription for life and go, maybe I don't actually even need to pick up the prescription. I have everything I need with these health coaches in my back pocket, with the tools that the company is making available. So I get excited about metabolic health because I feel like we're stepping into something so much greater than ourselves, and yet so on par for your mission, that mission to get America healthy and the world.
I love that. And if you think of it, when I wrote it tongue in cheek, but my prescription for life is basically what we do. Okay, no question.
Yes.
My prescription for now inside it is if they decide the prescription for now is to take it. So think of we have three groups. The group that hasn't decided yet, now we can help them find out whether they're right. If they are right, great. Then we can now take you through so you maximize success. If they're not right for you, we can take you right to prescription for life, which is all about who we are. And if you're on them right now and you're scared about, a lot of people are scared about coming off them because they know they'll regain their weight back. And then there's a whole bunch that are starting to hear more about the side effects and they want to come off it. We can help those. And then, like you said, the ones that have come off and have not had a good experience, we can help pick those up. So basically, we're probably talking somewhere around easily 60 to 80 million people that are just thinking about those medications. And then 90+% that are metabolically have some degree of dysfunction. So, I mean, we're talking about the whole world.
Yeah.
Huge market share, huge impact.
Yeah.
So whether you're driven by income or you are driven by purpose, or you're like Dr. A and I and Adam, and you're like, hey, I'm driven by both.
Yeah, but Jim Rohn said, I think this is so important. He said, if you bring value to the marketplace, you should be paid handsomely.
Yes.
We bring more value to the marketplace than anything that has to do with humans. Not even close.
Yes.
Not even close. Technology, I created that term, human transformational technology. We are the leaders of putting the human back in human. We are about human beings more.
Yes.
Good.
I love this. I love this. Do you have a few seconds to answer some questions
absolutely.
that I think coaches are going to ask? Okay. So do you want to ask the first question for Dr. A?
Sure, yeah. So what are some terms we need to shift?
Well, I mean, and I want to thank you for bringing that because here's a really important thing for everybody. You are not the scientist, okay? I'm the doctor. Our company has Satya, who's our researcher. We have product development people that do that thing. Your job is not to explain the science. Your job is to have the terms that allow people to hear and see the value to them and then to refer them. So that's why this book tells all that and talks about all that in as much or little detail as they want. Our job is to know the terms. So metabolic synchronization, that's a big one to start with. And when you say reverse metabolic dysfunction, you need to say it with the three caveats, the three chief drivers. First, 14%, this is in the 16-week period, 14% reduction in visceral fat, 98 basically preservation of lean mass, and protecting muscles. Those are the three things. You can say 10 times more weight loss than just using a regular diet and 17 times more fat loss if you have me as your coach. So this is a great way to put you in the centerpiece, and you're using the community and obviously the habits of health. So all those things are really important. Now, metabolic flip, I want to mention this one.
Yes.
We've been talking about metabolic reset, but I talked to Dan Chard, our CEO, while we were in Sundance, and I said, metabolic flip is a really important concept, easy to talk about. So I'm just going to spend a moment. So our body basically uses two energy sources. And the main area where our energy comes down in the cell is the mitochondria. You guys have heard the powerhouses of the cells. So when you take something in here, it goes through the alimentary canal, goes through a process of absorption, digestion, and then it goes into the bloodstream. Okay, then it works its way and then it goes into the cells. There's only two sources really we can use basically most of the time, and that's glucose, which is normally the one we use, and the other is fat. We can use fat as an energy source. When we use fat, it's unlimited. So we can store only about 1,500 calories in what we call glycogen, which is the storage thing for sugar, for carbohydrates. It's long chain, it's in the liver, there's some in your muscle. That's why when someone goes on a marathon, they try to load up right before they go with glycogen, so they have that. But they're gonna run out of glycogen. So because they become metabolically flexible and they really know how to switch energy sources, they can burn fat. And fat basically is a tremendous because you have an unlimited supply of fat. You got hundreds of thousands of calories of fat. So you can burn fat. When someone becomes overweight and their insulin goes up, and again, to remember this, when insulin is high, you cannot burn fat. That's why people that go on diets, by the way, and they starve themselves, they can't only do. That's why there is no reunion of the Biggest Losers. You can't do that long term. You can do that while a camera's on you for a short period of time, but that level of motivation isn't sustainable. So all those people basically have gained their weight back. How you need to lose weight, you need to turn insulin off first. And you all know that when you go on our 5-in-1, that's the first thing that happens. In 3 days, 4 days at the max, all of a sudden your cravings for carbohydrates go away. You feel like you have lots of energy. Why? You just turned off with our amazing fuelings your insulin went down, and now you're burning fat and you have unlimited source. You feel good basically, and you're able to mobilize your fat. That's the key part. That's why we can make those claims. That's why we can lose 14% visceral fat because we selectively. When you're overweight and you're not doing that, you can't burn fat because if you have insulin resistance, then 90% have some form of that. You can't burn fat, so you can only burn sugar. So that's why you're so malaise, because when you run out of that sugar and then what happens is your basically energy level goes down. And then what happens is you have that malaise and you just don't feel good, right? So that's metabolic flip, is learning how to build the ability so you can instantaneously. When you go to sleep at night, if you're metabolically unhealthy and you've just ate a massive meal, you never get into the point where you're in a fasting state. When you're in a fasting state, which is supposed to happen every night when you go to sleep, you preferentially start burning fat. That process is designed to keep you healthy. You sleep well. If you have a high sugar intake at night, you don't sleep well because you're stimulating all the things that go on to keep the brain active, and it's not healthy. So everything we do is around sleeping better, having more energy. So metabolic flip is what we do. We move so that people can preferentially burn fat. And at your level, I know every night my sleep has gotten better. I know when I wake up earlier in the morning, like 4 o'clock, my blood sugar starts going up a little bit. Why? That's the natural response. You're getting ready to get up. It releases cortisol in a healthy way to help you when you wake up be able to start all the mechanics of being awake in the morning, and gives you a little blood sugar to help you with it because you need that to get going in your day. But it isn't an abrupt and it isn't this huge elevation, and it's gone down naturally and you've got yourself in balance. So that's why that's so important.
Wow, I
So good.
love this. Can you tell us what does this mean in terms of the opportunity and what you foresee as our future?
Yeah, well, I mean, just think of it blue to green, I mean, red to blue ocean. When I first came out and started looking at what we needed to do, I realized that dieting doesn't work by itself. And we talked about the weight loss gain, right? Or loss rather. It doesn't work long term. You have to basically get into a situation where you can actually do the things we do. We know how great our program works. We know how great our coaching is. We know how amazing this community is. And we know how important the habits is health is. All those things are proprietary. The Habits of Health is owned by us. Okay. No one else has the Habits of Health, and it's basically now got 17 years of being the leading form of changing lifestyle, along with the coach, the community, and our products to create that teachable moment. Well, now in 3.0, we create that teachable moment in a hurry. People realize how their metabolic health, and now we can use that language. And as a result of that, we're not talking weight loss anymore. Weight loss is simply a symptom of better metabolic health. And the bottom line, why is that important? Because the audience is bigger, it's a new story, and now you never stop working on your metabolic health. People think, oh, I lost the weight, I don't need to do this anymore. No, like I just said, the last year my metabolic health, and I've been using the 5-in-1 off and on for years. I use the products every day. So this morning I got up and I do what I do every morning. I basically had a brownie for breakfast. Why? I got crazy schedule. Takes me 1 minute. I'm really good at it. And I look, check my glucometer. Yep, my blood sugar is normal. I'm on with the day. So I use our metabolic optimization products every single day, and I'm excited about where we're going. Also, because you saw, I put in a brand new gym. Bottom line is, during the day before I go down, I take one of our active line. Bottom line is, our products in metabolic optimization is something we will do for the rest of our life. So now in 3.0, we have something for everybody all the time.
I love this.
Perfect.
I love this. Oh my gosh. And I am so excited for 3.0 and where it's going to take us and what it's going to do for us. I know, Dr. A, you've got to hop off over to that other call. So I want to just say, as dear friends, we just appreciate you more than life itself. As someone whose life has been transformed, whose metabolic health has been changed, my own liver went from fatty liver to no fatty liver whatsoever because of this program and being a part of this. Like, that stuff gets me excited. And I just want to say personally, thank you for taking the time to be with us, being with our team. It means the world to Adam and I that we get to be so close and get to have that up close friendship with you.
Oh, I love it too, guys. And you know what? We're having a bunch of fun, and the fun's going to get better. So, we kind of went down to this little group. We're on our way. Momentum's gathering. Unless you absolutely can't fog a mirror, then come with us and let's change the world together. God
Let's
bless.
do this. I love it, Dr. A. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. All right, guys, we have a couple of tips. Do y'all want to hang with us for like the next 13 minutes as we dive into how to actually take this 3.0 era and master it, to own it, to take off? I don't know if, like he said, if you're not excited, you're probably on the wrong call. That's all I got for you. But I asked a couple of coaches to share just a little bit with each one of you how this is shifting their businesses, how you guys can take this to the next level. So I'm going to start off by tossing the ball to Debbie Akmoudi, and she's going to talk to you guys a little bit.
I'm going to talk real quick. And then we're gonna pass it around. But I just wanted to kind of help you understand. I think I heard an analogy. You know me, I love analogies. When I was just learning about the 3.0 stuff, and I'll say I haven't been able to sit in my chair in my office because I'm so excited these days. I just have to stand up all the time because the energy is contagious. So, but for me, especially when I'm talking to clients or people that I spoke to before, to help them understand what's different, I love that cold case analogy. So this might help you if you're talking to someone to kind of be like, this is what's new but not new. So if you look at a cold case, we know that like a criminal case from like the 1960s, 1970s didn't have DNA to really look at evidence to prove what the what investigators were like. We know that this person's guilty, but we can't prove it because we don't have the DNA evidence. Well, then when that became available and they could actually prove it, it changed the entire story. And that's kind of how I look at this. Like, this is now, we have the evidence, we have the proof to prove what we all knew and what we were all talking about. And now we can talk about it. So I just want to equip you with that when you're talking to people, to give you a way to explain it to them, that it was there before, but now we actually have the physical proof and we can talk about it. And just like Dr. A said, there's a plan for so much more that is coming that we can be so excited about. A 10-year plan, probably way beyond that, 20, I don't even know how many years, but I know for sure there's very specific things coming. And this is just like the stage is being set, and we are so excited. So Gina, I'm passing it to Julie, right? Because she's going to talk. Okay, Julie, thank you. And then we're going to come back in. Hi, Julie.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so obviously OPTAVIA is on a major level up journey. And if we want to match that level that this company is stepping into, like if we want to expand our impact and reach more people and truly live this mission, just like Dr. A shared, then we have to level up too. So not just in our businesses, but in our health. And so just as we're like wrapping up October, I've been talking with my own coaches and thinking a lot about how in this next season, this next version of us begins with clarity. Because clarity creates direction, and without it, we tend to drift off course sometimes. So I've been challenging my own coaches this week to get crystal clear on where they want their health to be come January 1st. Because when we know where we're going and we know why that matters, then we stop just wishing for things to happen and we actually start building it. But as I was thinking about it, most of us set outcome goals, right? Like, and then we kind of wonder why we get stuck sometimes. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to get stronger. I want to have more energy. I want to drop 2% body fat. That's great. We need that clarity, but those are outcomes. Those are not the process. And so you can't always control the outcome, but you can control your daily or weekly actions. So for example, instead of saying I want to lose 20 pounds, maybe you shift to I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day, right? Instead of I want to drop 2% body fat, say I'm going to strength train 4 times a week for 30 minutes, right? Those daily actions are what's going to build the results. So I love structure. So I wanted to give my coaches just a simple, let me share my screen here. I wanted to give my coaches just a simple framework that you can actually fill out and put into practice. So this is a Google Doc. We'll get this sent out, and I won't read through it word for word, but basically I kind of divided it into 5 parts. First, define your goal. Find clarity in something measurable that you want to achieve in your health come January 1st. Why does that matter to you? Anchor that in something that's important to you. Is it your family? Is it time freedom, flexibility, energy, or your business? Tie it to something that fuels you. And then create your action plan. So these are the daily or the weekly habits that actually move you closer and are 100% in your control, right? I can control if I get 30 minutes of movement in, if I do my strength training, if I weigh out my lean and green meals. And then, sorry guys, catching a cold, and then just refine your focus. So, a lot of us are already on kind of a level up journey, but so what's one thing you're going to keep doing? What's one thing you're going to start doing? And what's one thing you're going to stop doing? So kind of refine your plan there. And then I just love a good power statement or a good mission statement. We are not always going to wake up every day feeling motivated to do X, Y, or Z, right? But we can show up every day disciplined. And if we have clarity in those actions and what we're working to, if we are rooted and grounded in our mission and where we're going, it's going to make such a difference. So my challenge before I toss it back to Gina is before this weekend, we have tonight and tomorrow before October ends, get crystal clear on where you want to be come January 1st. Write it down. Don't just think it, name it and write it down, share it with your coach. Pick those 3 actions that you can control, this week, next month that are going to move you closer to that goal. Because clarity creates momentum, and momentum is going to create those results. If we want to make an even bigger impact come 2026, I can stop sharing actually now. But if we want to make a bigger impact in 2026, helping more people, growing our teams, living this mission, then it really starts with the example that we set right now. So level up goals require level up habits. So it's really time to get crystal clear on what our own 3.0 level up story is. Thanks, Gina.
Julie, this is so good. And I'm going to toss this over to Debbie and Kim, and they are going to share with you how to really expand your 3.0 story in a very short, concise way.
Okay. So we're going to be sharing, I'll go really quickly and I'm going to pass it to you, Kim. We're going to be sharing all the things that I'm going to show you, some quick slides. We're going to put in Echols. We're going to put in all the coach pages so you'll have access. Don't panic writing notes or taking screenshots. It's going to be, you're going to get it all. But I think one of the important things, if you were on Power Hours Monday and Tuesday, and if you've been on some of these trainings, we're trying to help you craft your story through the metabolic lens without sounding like a scientist. So people are like, what is going on? What happened to my friend? She's not a scientist. So we want you to be real and authentic and connect with people. So really quickly, I'm just going to show a couple slides that we're using to help our coaches tell their metabolic story by understanding what metabolic dysfunction feels like without having to keep saying metabolic dysfunction in every post, because that's gonna, oops, hold on. That's too far ahead. Hang on, let me skip through here. There we go. Play from, oh shoot. Oh goodness. Slideshow things are always so much fun. Okay, so here's a couple things, and this is what we're gonna share so you don't have to panic. But these are just like some of the signs of metabolic dysfunction, like Dr. A was talking about, fatigue and energy crashes and cravings and belly fat and those kind of things. So there's physical signs, there's going to be emotional signs, the moodiness, the irritability, embarrassment for, having to shop in a bigger, section of the store, shame because you know what to do, but you can't get motivated to do it. There's also mental signs, people just feeling forgetful and lack of motivation and drive. So many of these things, when I was researching it, I was like, check, check, check. I could relate to all of them. And then maybe some spiritual or identity things you're struggling with. So that's kind of step one, is figuring out what were those things for you that you've experienced, and then telling your story. But one thing Gina asked us to talk about was, we don't want to make every post an entire book. You want to have some quick bullet point type, here's what I was struggling with, here's what the solution was, or kind of a hook statement maybe to grab people's attention so they go, wow, Kim really understands what I'm going through. So Kim has put together this amazing list of these hook statements that we're also going to share with you. And I'm going to pass it to you, Kim, and I can put those up on my screen, the ones we shared on Tuesday. Are you good with that?
That would be great, Deb. It's really important to have a hook and something that's going to stop their scroll. We want to remember that we don't want to stop branding the way that we do our 3 posts a day, but we want to weave in these short metabolic stories, right? You don't have to use the word metabolic every time, but just like Debbie said, there's so many different things that are part of our story, and our story really gets rid of the noise on Facebook. People relate to us as people, and we already know that as health coaches, that's what they do. But when you have a hook that's going to bring them in, and we have all these examples, and of course, we went to ChatGPT. ChatGPT helps us, but you've got to make it your own. You've got to dig deeper with Chat, ask it to really sound like you. If you don't like the hook, change up the words a little bit. So tonight, I actually posted about visceral fat because I saw that visceral fat go down in those 16 weeks on program. And the way my belly looked, how different my body looked. And my hook that I used tonight was, the weight you can't see might be the most dangerous kind. That is going to stop someone. They already know me. They know my heart, who I am on social media, and they're going to read about that story and look at my side-by-side. Now, we want to make sure that you don't have to post your side-by-side every time that you share something about your story. A picture of you is going to bring them in, but with a hook, it's going to stop the scroll. And that's what we want to do. Don't get panicked about sharing your story. We want you to break it up into parts and utilize it as much as you can, those different stories. And we all have many different ones. So look in the middle of the slide here. When your metabolism wakes up, you wake up, right? We know that when our metabolism is awake, we are awake. And there's so many people struggling with their metabolism not working for them. And we have the answer to that. But just us sounding like a doctor or a scientist, that is not going to pull them in. It's going to be something that they relate to with you. I used to hate looking in the mirror until I discovered the real secret. Now, you might not want to use the word secret, but that does grab people's attention. And I want you to think about when you're writing, like Debbie said, writing those things that were wrong before we did program. I want you to also think about the time you got out of the shower and you looked in the mirror and you went, holy smokes, look at my body changing. And I know we all felt that, even the guys. But it's true. Those are the things that you need to hold on to be excited about what we're doing in this lane that we're going down. And then think about, I stopped fighting my body and started feeling it the right way, and my life changed. That is such a simple statement. So don't be afraid. We want to give people hope. We want to give them answers. We want to give them excitement. We want to show up on our Facebooks and be excited about the direction that OPTAVIA is going, because I can't. The other night I about jumped through the screen in training because I was so excited. So I hope you all are excited too, because we have the best mentorship team that's preparing us so well, all the way to Dr. A. What company does that? Brings him on for an evening for an hour.
That was great, Gina. And one thing I wanted to say, and Kim, you said this on our training on Tuesday too, is, and Gina, you mentioned it, we don't want you to start doing your other branding posts and still sharing the transformations, because there's a whole audience that's going to speak to that before and after. But when you're sharing a lot of these other kind of telling your metabolic story post, it can just be you maybe standing in front of the mirror, or it could be you doing something active, or you can kind of tell the story through the picture, and it doesn't always have to be a side by side, just to kind of change the rhythm. And it might be like twice a week that you're sharing bits and pieces of your metabolic story. You just, because of the things that we can share now, you have all of these, you know, non-scale victories basically that you can talk about, and it's just like, it's unlimited. And so something that I've started doing is kind of going through my phone and looking for different selfies with different expressions and just different things that I've done. And I have an album of things I can use to tell my metabolic story. So you can kind of start saving that content, and you probably have a ton of it on your phone already, or maybe some of your before pictures in situations where you can explain, maybe you were embarrassed because you had to buy a bigger size or something, you know, the bigger jeans or whatever it might be. This really, we don't want it to be stressful. We want you to be able to keep it simple. We want you to be able to tell your story, just like Kim said. Don't be so sciencey. Just be real and authentic, but don't feel like you have to tell a huge story every time. Just something to kind of grab attention. But your story is what people are attracted to, because they know you and they trust you. So you should be all over your Facebook page and then sprinkling in those other branding posts, especially as we're adding all these new friends, which hopefully you haven't stopped doing those business building activities. As I'm adding all these new friends myself, and that's where almost all of my new clients are coming from, it is because I want them to look at my page and know me. And if it's just those branding posts and there's nothing personal, but now your personal can be your metabolic story. So it's like, really, the doors have opened wide open, and we want to help you. If you're struggling with how to tell your story, let your mentors help you. That's what we're here for, and kind of get together and talk through it. But it doesn't have to be hard. It's just like literally so much fun. And you don't have to make a huge list today. Just start kind of writing down your list and adding to it. I just keep adding to my story. So thank you, Gina. I know we kind of threw a lot at you. All those things we shared, we'll put in the page tonight so you have them.
Oh,
Can I add one thing, Gina?
yeah, Kim, go ahead.
You know, when you're talking to your clients, you guys, make sure you're writing down their non-scale
Just gonna
victories,
say
right? And start their stories, because
Yes.
it's a whole nother, go ahead, Gina.
No, Kim, that's exactly where I was going to go with this for just a moment. Guys, as you're doing your client calls, I hope that you are writing down their non-scale victories, and then you are speaking to those same non-scale victories on your social media. Not saying, well, my client said this. I mean, you can say that if you have permission, but can you just do it? Talk about it. Like when I work with clients who experience X, this is how we walk through it. So like you can, if you hear those things, I promise you there's going to be things. I have a client just today that gave up cauliflower because you know what was upsetting her stomach? She thought she had to eat cauliflower for her lean and green every day. And then she couldn't figure out why her tummy was hurting all the time. And I was like, cauliflower? Hello. ding, 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 ding. That was why. And she was about to quit program, but just being able to talk to her about that. And then so this week we talked and she's like, girl, I gave up the cauliflower and my life is on fire. I feel good. I have so much energy. And she started just spewing out the benefits of our program. And so I just started writing them down. And then I said, girl, you've got to talk about this, but you also need to write it down in your life book and engage them in that way. So I want to be crystal clear because Debbie, I think you accidentally said something that you didn't mean to say, which is she was saying, make sure you continue to brand, not stop branding and go through it. So I just want to make sure everybody heard that correctly. She is saying, make sure that you are continuing to brand and adding these things in 1 or 2 times a week. You do not want to be just all metabolic health. You do not want to be all long format posts. You don't want to be all short format posts. You don't want to avoid having your children on your page or your dog who jumps in to talk to Dr. A. You've got to stay relevant, stay human, stay you, show up. So many of you do this beautifully, but now we're giving you one more key. And for those of you who maybe have struggled with this, maybe you've struggled with the charisma, I hope tonight you go, wow, this story that Dr. A just shared with me, the power that we have, the personal story through your own metabolic project that you are going on over the next couple of months, that is what's going to set you up. You want the best January, February, March ever? Really, you want the best 2026? It starts today with your own metabolic project. So go through that worksheet Julie gave you guys, and then get to making a difference in your health. If you've gained a little bit of weight, just go improve you're on a metabolic project. If you are at your, like from Adam and I have been at my goal for a while, but I'll tell you, I'm gonna brag on Jennifer Morris for just a minute here. She lost 25 pounds all those years ago. She's got menopause up in that should be a song. Menopause up in that. Okay, stopping myself. The girl says, menopause, I am taking you on, down an additional 5 pounds. She's now down 30 pounds, fitter, healthier than ever. I think of Michelle Heyman is the same way. She is on fire in her health. So some of you just need to get back on fire in your health. I'm looking at decreasing more body fat, increasing more muscle mass. What are you chasing? And go after it. Rewrite your metabolic story. Go from 2.0 version of you to 3.0. And then start sharing it with the world. Get bold, get loud, get ready, because this thing right now is when it takes action. The person who takes action today is going to be the leader of OPTAVIA 3.0. They will be. If your goal is FIDC, if your goal is global, if your goal is integrated presidential, it starts today, and it starts with your own metabolic health and getting very, very loud and inviting others to join this journey with us. All right, we're way over time. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you for making this special debut. We love you. Bye-bye.